This is a fish that weighs as much as a car, swims like a broken frisbee, and looks like God hit Control-Z halfway through designing it. And somehow, it's one of the most successful creatures in the ocean. Why does the heaviest bony fish in the world look like someone took a normal fish and just deleted the back half? How does something that can barely swim in a straight line survive in an ocean full of apex predators? And why do scientists keep finding these things floating at the surface like dead balloons when they're actually perfectly fine?
To understand why the ocean sunfish is basically the platypus of the sea, we first have to understand what we're even looking at here. The ocean sunfish, or mola mola, is what happens when evolution decides to speed run the weirdest possible way to make a fish. Where most fish have, a tail, the sunfish just doesn't. Its body literally just stops. It's like someone was 3D printing a fish and ran out of filament. Instead of a tail fin, it has this weird fleshy rudder thing called a clavus. But that's not even the weird part. This thing swims by flapping its top and bottom fins like wings, not side to side like a normal fish, up and down. It's the aquatic equivalent of trying to steer a shopping cart with a broken wheel, except the shopping cart weighs 5,000 pounds. And yes, you heard that right. That's heavier than most cars. We're talking about a fish the size of a small garage that swims with all the grace of a manhole cover. How is this thing not extinct? Well, it turns out the sunfish has mastered the art of being terrible at everything in such a specific way that it actually works. See, the sunfish is essentially a giant floating head that only eats jellyfish. That's it, just jellyfish, and occasionally some small fish or squid if they're feeling adventurous. But mostly jellyfish. So how do you grow to the size of a compact car eating nothing but sea jello? Volume. Lots and lots of volume. A single sunfish can eat literally tons of jellyfish. They're basically the competitive eaters of the fish world, except instead of hot dogs, it's just endless amounts of gelatinous nothing. It's like trying to bulk up by eating only rice cakes. Theoretically possible, but you're going to need a lot of rice cakes. But here's where it gets interesting. The sunfish has evolved to be perfectly terrible at swimming because it doesn't need to be good at it. When your diet consists of animals that can barely move themselves, you don't exactly need to be Michael Phelps. Jellyfish aren't known for their evasive maneuvers. The sunfish just has to slowly flap its way toward them and open its mouth. And those fins that make it swim like a broken helicopter? They're actually insanely powerful. They just look ridiculous because we expect fish to swim. Like fish. But the sunfish has basically evolved its own propulsion system. Those fins can launch this massive creature completely out of the water. We're talking about something the weight of a small car doing full aerial backflips. Scientists think they do this to shake off parasites. Because, oh boy, the parasites. A single sunfish can have up to 40 different species of parasites living on it. They're basically floating apartment complexes for smaller organisms. Some sunfish have so many parasites that the parasites have parasites. It's parasites all the way down, which brings us to one of the most bizarre behaviors in the ocean. Sunfish love to sunbathe, hence the name. They'll swim up to the surface, flop onto their side, and just float there for hours, like a giant fish-shaped pool float. Scientists used to think they were sick or dying when they saw this. Nope, they're tanning. Well, sort of. The real reason is even weirder. They're essentially using the sun as a parasite removal service. They float on their side at the surface, heating up one half of their body. This attracts seabirds who land on them and pick off the parasites like it's an all-you-can-eat buffet. The sunfish gets cleaned, the birds get fed, everyone's happy. It's like a car wash, but you're the car and the brushes are seagulls. But there's a catch. While they're floating there looking dead, they're basically sitting ducks. They're right at the surface where anything can see them, and they're advertising their location to every predator in a 5-mile radius. So why haven't they been eaten to extinction? Because nothing wants to eat them. Think about it. You're a shark. You see this massive thing floating at the surface. You swim up, ready for the easiest meal of your life, and then you take a bite. Congratulations, You just got a mouthful of what's basically fishy cardboard. The sunfish is mostly cartilage and thick, gelatinous skin. It's like biting into a wet mattress. Not exactly appetizing, even for a shark. But the sunfish's true superpower isn't its size or its unappetizing texture. It's the fact that it's mastered the art of being just useful enough to keep around. Those tons of jellyfish they eat? Many of those are the kind that would otherwise bloom out of control and mess up entire ecosystems. The sunfish is basically the ocean's janitor, slowly flapping around and vacuuming up jellyfish before they become a problem. And here's the kicker. Baby sunfish are absolutely nothing like adult sunfish. They start out looking like tiny spiky stars, complete with a normal fishtail. Then they grow up and lose their tail. It's like puberty in reverse. They go from being these agile little star-shaped fish to massive, barely mobile meat frisbees. And somehow, this works. They're found in every ocean, from the tropics to the Arctic. These ridiculous-looking giants have conquered the planet by being terrible swimmers who eat boring food and get covered in parasites. But perhaps the most insane thing about sunfish is how fast they grow. A sunfish fry weighs less than a gram. An adult can weigh over 2 tons. That's a 60 million-fold increase in weight. If humans grew like sunfish, a baby would grow to be the size of the Titanic. Actually, scratch that. Bigger than the Titanic. And they do this eating mostly jellyfish. This brings us to perhaps the weirdest part of sunfish existence. For years, people thought sunfish were these dopey, useless creatures that just drifted around waiting to die. Internet posts went viral, calling them the world's most worthless fish, swimming potatoes, evolutionary mistakes. But recent research has shown that's completely wrong. Sunfish regularly dive to depths of 600 meters. That's deeper than the Empire State Building is tall. They migrate thousands of miles. They're not drifting. They're actively hunting, using ocean currents like highways to efficiently travel between jellyfish buffets. They're not stupid. They're energy efficient. Why waste calories swimming like a normal fish when you can flap slowly and still catch prey that moves like floating plastic bags? The sunfish has turned being bad at swimming into an art form. It's failed so successfully that it's one of the most widespread fish in the ocean. And honestly, in a world full of overachievers, there's something oddly inspiring about the sunfish. Here's an animal that looks like a mistake, swims like it's broken, and eats the ocean's least nutritious food. And it's thriving. It's the embodiment of working smarter, not harder. The sunfish doesn't care that it looks ridiculous. It doesn't care that it can't swim properly. It just slowly flaps through life, eating jellyfish, getting cleaned by birds, and occasionally jumping out of the water for no apparent reason. It's living its best life in the weirdest possible way. Whether you think the sunfish is evolution's greatest joke or its most unexpected success story, you have to admit, nothing else in the ocean comes close to being this perfectly imperfect. It's a 2-ton reminder that there's more than one way to be a fish, even if that way involves having no tail, swimming sideways, and looking like someone forgot to finish drawing you. So yeah, next time you feel like you don't fit in, just remember, there's a 5,000-pound fish out there succeeding at life by doing everything wrong, and it's doing just fine.